Welcome to the Diamond Hands podcast, where medicine meets momentum and branding becomes a leadership system. I'm Tracey co-founder of Diamond Hands Media. I build aesthetic brands that lead, with a background in employee benefits and business finance, so brand becomes authority and asset value. This is mindset, money, and marketing for founders building brands that run without them. Because brand isn't a logo, it's how you lead.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Diamond Hands podcast. Today we've got something a little bit different. So, when you think med spa, you probably don't picture a guy named Chris in a button-down shirt calling the shots because, a lot of women are in the med spa space, but maybe that's the exact reason why we need to talk to him because things are changing in aesthetics. So we're really excited to have Chris Heiler. He is the CEO and co-founder of Flycatcher Men, and it's a brand that's really stepping into men's aesthetics, which, as you guys know, let's be real, it's the little teenager of the industry right now, really getting into men's aesthetics. So, his vantage point is unique. He's not a seasoned injector. He's a male founder, and he's founding a clinic alongside his wife, and they're stepping into, an emerging category where many guys are still too embarrassed to talk about. So we're pulling back the curtain today. Welcome, Chris.
Welcome. And I would say many guys are still using bar soap to wash their faces.
I mean, that's a whole nother issue in itself. It's like I just got my husband to actually start using like skincare, and I'm like, it's time. And now he's gone all the way to the other side. He's now doing red light therapy and all the things. And I was like, wow, really did some stuff.
Good for him.
Yeah. So, so tell me a little bit about Flycatcher, Chris. So, like, tell me about what was that moment where you really knew that you had to do this?
Well, I don't know if it was one moment, but I had, my background is in marketing and I have a pretty established agency, and I was kind of looking to put my time and energy into something else. And I knew I really wanted to do something that helped men. I didn't know exactly what it was, but that was just kind of the big picture vision at the moment. And when I met Aurora, who's my wife, she's a esthetician and laser tech, and very passionate about the aesthetics industry. And I'm always just very curious about learning about different industries, different businesses.
Yeah.
So when I met her, I was just super curious about the industry. And she encouraged me to go to a couple places and get some treatment for sun damage because I just had some sunspots. So I went to, I want to say probably 3 different places over the course of maybe a year. And like the treatment itself was fine. It worked, except in one instance where they didn't use any, gel. But I was doing laser treatments. But the overall treatment or the overall experience going into these med spas for a guy, it was just very uncomfortable. I'd never done it before. It was obvious to me that these places were designed for women. Men were a total afterthought from every perspective, really, from the treatment to how we were spoken to, the education, everything. It's like I go in there, I didn't know anything, you know? So after I went to a few of these places and I learned more about the industry from Aurora, it became pretty obvious to me that it is like med spas are really, it's a good business model, but you have to be differentiated if you're going to stand out because so many of them just look alike. Right. So that was it. It was really my own experience. And I thought, man, I could really do this better if I created something comfortable for men that felt like I wanted to create a space where men could go and feel really comfortable.
Yeah.
That was
I think that's a really important point there that you brought up, Chris. And so, like, I want to get into that a little bit more about, your own pain point, because I'm sure there's going to be someone who listens to this, one of your potential, patients or what have you, and they're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's me. So Tell me a little bit more about the discomfort that you felt going into a med spa as a man. So if you could kind of go from, even like booking on the website to walking in the front door to just like tell me about the different points of discomfort that you had in that patient or client journey.
Yeah, that's a good spot to start. The book you brought up booking. So that's important. I would not have known what treatment to look for if it wasn't for Aurora. I had the problem, like I knew I had the sun damage on my face,
Mhm.
but going to a med spa's website, I wouldn't have really known where to start, or what treatment to pick because most websites lead with the brands, hydrofacial, BBL, Cool Sculpt, all these different guys don't know what those things are.
Mhm.
Okay. So booking would have been a little difficult, except for Aurora said, hey, you need to find a place that does IPL.
Mhm. Mhm.
Not that I know what that means or what that's going to feel like.
Yeah.
She told me that's what I need to look for. So I booked it, in clinic experience. I feel like there's not a lot of education. I think a lot of women come into these places and they're already educated. Like they talk to each other, they do research online. They know about these treatments already.
Mhm.
So there's not a lot of education that needs to be done up front. Where a guy like with me, I didn't know anything about IPL or how laser treatments worked. Right. So when I walk in as this brand new customer, new to all of this, like there was no education whatsoever. It was sign this consent form, we'll bring you back. Right. And then even with the provider, and I know this can depend on the providers, right? But the ones I dealt with, no education. It was here, let's get this going. And then zap, 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 zap. And I'm just like, oh, damn.
Wow.
So it was just a very, overall, just a very uncomfortable experience. Even like checking out, I remember, I'm like, am I supposed to do I leave a tip for this? Because I know when I've gotten a facial before with Aurora, I would leave a tip. But what about this? This is more medical. Do I leave a tip for this? It's like just that level of not knowing anything, made just made it uncomfortable. So that's why I thought if I was going to do this, I need to look at every little part of the experience because guys are just different.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting because, because it's like, okay, so as you may know, it's like I came from the world of finance. So I was in the
Okay.
financial planning space. And so I did that for almost 10 years. But the thing is, it's like the same thing was the other way around. A woman would come into a financial advisor's office, right? And it'd be like, oh
Yeah.
my goodness, they're mansplaining me. I don't know any of these terms. So I'm not going to
Yeah.
do anything at all. So it's like, what I did, I really explained things like I was explaining it to like my little sister or something,
Yeah.
even if they're a woman who had millions of dollars to invest or they need to protect or what have you. And so I think it's so interesting, okay, finance, maybe men, men dominate, beauty, women dominate. And like how you actually felt like a lot of women feel when they start talking about financial planning or certain things. Not all women, because I know that
Yeah.
stuff, but well, it's just like, but that it's so interesting that you almost felt like not mansplained, but woman non-splained. I don't know.
Not. Yeah. Exactly. But this is an area where men are different. Men really like to be educated. They like to know about this stuff. If you're gonna do something to them, some kind of treatment, they like to know. Like, okay, why are you putting this on? What is this next thing you're putting on? Why are you doing that? Tell me about this laser. Like, what's it actually doing? Like, guys like to be educated and learn about the stuff.
Well, yeah, definitely. Like a certain type of man, because there's certain men that go in there, they're just like another girl. They're like, oh my God, I want the IPL. I want to do. So I think it also
Yeah.
depends on the type of man. But I would say, if it's like a hyper masculine man or something, yes, they tend to want, the more analytical, they do want to know a lot of the details. Like if, my husband, he does red light therapy, but he won't do much else besides red light therapy and skincare. He just won't do it. And that's
Yeah.
just him. but it's fine, but I get it. So, like, let's go into that psychology. So, like, how do you ensure that it is a more and this is what you guys are doing differently. Like, how do you make sure that the patient experience as a man, and and it applies to women too, but for men specifically, Flycatcher Men, how do you make sure that the patient experience is seamless and educational before they even walk in the door? Like, and you had a branding agency, so a marketing agency rather. So tell me more about how you make sure of that before someone walks in the door.
Yeah, that's a good question. And we're still refining that because I think there's still a lot of room where we can differentiate ourselves more and kind of elevate that experience. But educating them before they ever come here, number one, before they step foot in the door. So a lot of the content marketing we do, whether it's the blog on our website or it's social media, any kind of marketing we do, if you look at it, it's really, I don't like to call it marketing. I call it teaching. Like
Mhm.
that's what we just try to teach these guys,
Yeah.
whether it's about laser hair removal or it's about treating sun damage, right?
Yeah.
So it starts with educating them before they come in. When they are here, I think a lot of this was provider dependent, but like with Aurora, she does a really good job teaching these guys all about their skin and starting at, oh, I don't know what you call it, like at a low level, right? Because we don't have the knowledge. So taking them through a skin analysis
Mhm.
and talking about pigment, talking about fine lines, all these different things.
Mhm.
So it's just educating them at every step of the process, I think is the biggest thing.
Yeah, and I mean, for any good med spa or medical practice or esthetician practice, it's like education is really the key. Like, understanding what are we going to get when we actually come into a consultation. What are the options available to me? What are the possible results? Because not everyone gets a result, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
what are the possible results that I can get from doing this? So, it's about being a guide from point A to point B, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And so with that, I do wanted to ask you this too. So like, do you feel that you like kind of wrestle with legitimacy in this space as a male founder? Do you feel that this community embraces you, or do you feel like you're just kind of like building something on an island by yourself?
I haven't thought too much about that. I feel like the people I have met and have talked to over the years, because this was a long process to get this thing started and to get
Mhm,
open. All the professionals that I've met and crossed paths with have been very receptive to what I'm doing
mhm,
and super encouraging. I
mhm,
don't think I've ever, uh, I'm sure there's naysayers, but I've never run into anybody who has like challenged what I'm doing or
mhm,
anything like that, or like, oh, you're this guy, you just have a marketing background. What are you doing?
mhm.
I haven't really faced that. I mean, there might be some people who think that, but I mean, I haven't felt that. I've been too busy worrying about other things.
Well, yeah, and I get
Yeah.
that. I just think it's and like, for you guys listening, like this is the difference between, a masculine energy and a feminine energy. Like,
Yeah,
a
we don't
feminine
care.
energy, we're like, oh my goodness, I want the community. Or masculine energy is like, I just want results, like want to make sure that we like it's
Yeah.
so interesting to like hear the difference. You're like, I don't care about the community, like make money, like do what I gotta do, help these men out here. No, it's so different.
But
And
that's
so
that's the thing. It's like you just said it, help men out. I'm just
Mhm.
focused on the mission. Our mission is to help men look good and feel great. What can we do to fulfill that mission?
And so when you have men coming in, and tell me about your kind of like ideal patient that comes in, or your favorite patients that come in, like how do you help them, like, obviously balance performance, confidence, and aesthetics and still feel masculine when they leave? Because I know for some men, the reason why they don't do these services is because they feel it takes away their masculinity, which is crazy. But that's why some men don't do it.
Yeah, I don't hear that much from men.
Mhm,
One thing, a lot of men don't know these treatments even exist,
mhm,
which is one problem, so they don't know, oh, hey, I can take care of this sun damage, or I can take care of this scar. They don't even realize that. But like the ideal guy that comes in is he's definitely coming in on his own, not because his wife or girlfriend told him, hey, you need to go in and do this. We get some of that, but our best clients are the ones who understand they have some issue that they want to resolve. Maybe they don't know how yet,
Yeah.
but they're interested in resolving it. So they come in on their own, and then they're committed to the process, which is typically a full treatment plan, right? So the ideal client's not going to be the guy that comes in and gets one skin pen treatment. They're going to get the series of 4 skin pen treatments, and maybe they're doing a series of our photofacials as well,
Mhm.
right? And it's a, well, it's a few month process.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So they're coming in on their own, and they're committed to really doing what we ask them to do.
Mhm.
And they have the money to do it too. Obviously, that's part of the ideal customer.
Well, yeah,
They
obviously. I
gotta
mean, with men coming in, and it's just like obviously they come out with new studies all the time, but obviously we know this. It's like attractive individuals are 52% more likely to hold prestigious, job positions. And I think men, especially in the workplace, if they want to remain competitive, a lot of the men get divorced in their late 40s, 50s. They want to be competitive in all the arenas, right?
Yeah,
They want to be
yeah.
competitive at work, they want to be competitive in relationships, and they want to be able to bring their best self. And so with that, what do you encounter with like when men what they say they want? Do you guys like kind of really uncover why they're doing it?
It's a good question. We could do better at that.
Mhm,
That's
mhm,
part of the consultation process. I will say I think Aurora uncovers those details and those motivations later, when she starts working with the client and the client really starts opening up about what's going on in their life. Then
mhm.
it's she, oh, okay, that's why he's in here. It's not just about the wrinkles. There's something else, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't always get that up front, but that comes later. She kind of uncovers that. And an interesting thing I've noticed is I'd say about 90% of the guys that come in here are
Mhm.
self-employed. They own their own business. Yeah, they own their own businesses. And the other, I mean, maybe it's 80%, but it's a high percentage. Then the others are high level executives
Mhm, mhm.
and sales. So it's kind of like you described. It's like they're, yeah, and they're at a high point in their careers, right? So they're trying to maintain that edge. And like you said, maybe they're divorced, recently divorced, they're dating younger. So they're
Mhm.
trying to I like to say they, maintain that edge in the boardroom and the bedroom. So
And that's fine. Say it.
yeah,
In this
I
podcast,
just said it.
I read. Maintain the edge in the boardroom and the bedroom. Okay, there's
There you go.
nothing wrong with that. You could say it with pride on my podcast.
All right.
We're not politically correct over here. But in any case, yeah, I think that's so cool. Because if more men understood that this is going to keep them, virulent for, a longer time, more competitive, I think more men would do it. And I love that point, that stat you brought up. Almost 80% of the men that go to you are, self-employed executives, or in sales, and all of those type of things need a high level of trust. And biologically, when we see an attractive man, when we see a tall man, we automatically think, oh, yeah, he can get done.
Yeah.
It's completely different than when you see like an ectomorph, someone who's like really skinny, like sullen, like kind of depressed looking. You're like, oh, he can't get it done. And that happens to us naturally as we age. We start looking kind of not ourselves anymore.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah.
So what would you say has been like your greatest, I would say, kind of like growth lever so far with men? Do you find that many men are coming in through referrals, influencers, content? Like, where do you find that you get most of these, men coming from?
It's all over the map right now. I wish I had that answer right now, especially with my background in marketing. I wish I had all those answers. We've tried a lot of different things, but number one source is just our location where we're at. So guys in the area, they they drive by or they're walking by and they see us and are like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that is. I wonder what they do. So we get a lot of that, but also we're starting to get more from organic search on Google and the maps. Like we're doing pretty good there. We're getting good traction on Chat GPT now, uh,
Oh,
which is that's the future. Is
it is. I know, but it's only
it's
based on SEO, but we can talk about that for another time.
yeah,
I don't want to
but
do it now.
here's
Fucking take it.
here here's the thing I've noticed because we're strongly positioned as the med spa for men and we're highly differentiated. When a guy goes to Chat GPT and asks about laser hair removal for men, because the search queries are much longer on Chat GPT and more detailed. When a guy or a woman looks up something, one of these treatments, and asks about guys, we pop up. We're their recommendation. Like we've
Oh,
seen that multiple times now. So
there's no one else. It's not, it's not the same thing for female dominated med spas just
right,
because there is a bunch of them. So they don't have that differentiation
right,
for their practice. So even if someone does have better providers, better reviews, if they don't have that SEO history, they're not coming up high in these AEO search results at all,
right,
even if they're better
right.
than someone else. And that's something, going forward for practices that they're going to have to really they're gonna have to optimize for. And we don't do digital marketing, but that's something that they're gonna have to optimize for with their digital marketing providers. And that's why I really think it's just like going people I don't know what you think about this, but I do believe that people are going back to especially like all these med spas that are run by women. It's just like you have to build community actually in your community because the internet may not be the place to find people in 5 years. We don't know what's
Yep.
gonna happen with all these things.
Yeah, I believe your local community is still super important. It's like, right, in in-person networking for me is still important. All of that is part of the equation. Yeah, I mean, for us, I think community is going to be more and more important moving forward. Like with our brand, like we're medical aesthetics, right? But I want us to do more than that. Like I do want us to build a community. So we're going to be doing events inside and outside of the space that have nothing to do with aesthetics, but it's just about bringing guys together.
Yeah.
So we can go host a meetup at the local sports bar and watch a football game and get 15, 20 guys together. We're not going to be talking about aesthetics, I can guarantee you. But right?
Yeah.
But we're hosting it and it's bringing guys together, which fits our mission. So like that's an important part of everything, of all of this.
Yeah. I mean, I love that, because it could be like, okay, golf outings, or like we're all gonna go to a cigar lounge, or my top 20
Yeah.
clients are gonna go to cigar lounge. We're gonna whatever. It's like there's so many cool things that men can actually do together to build their own community that might look a little different than us saying, oh my God, we're gonna do a community like yoga event. Like that's something that I would do.
Yep. Yeah. And exactly. And here's the thing: men are very isolated. We're not as social as women. We're just not wired that way, right? And we tend to isolate ourselves. And I get that. So if I can do something that brings guys together, kind of can break that isolation a little bit, I'm all for it. I mean, we have a few clients that come in and we always joke and they'll joke too. They just like coming in and hanging out. It's like they come in for the treatments. They're like, but I swear they just come in because they need to get out and they need to hang out, whether it's talking with me or it's being able to talk to Aurora for a while. It's like it's their therapy on a Wednesday afternoon, right? So there's more to this than just providing aesthetic treatments.
Mhm. But I think that's important that you kind of like, hit that nail on the head for yourself. It's more than aesthetics treatments. Like, who knows? You could have Flycatcher, co-work spaces eventually. I don't know. Who knows? But whatever. It's just like, for men to want to stay and relax and talk a little bit more. Because you said they're 80% business owners. Being a business owner can be a very lonely thing. Just dealing with people, you're leading them, but you're not necessarily going to confide in them or talk to them about anything, right? And I think that's really, really cool that you guys have that community there. So, and another question that I have for you too is just like, so has having Flycatcher Men changed like how you see yourself? Like, how does it change how you like see yourself as like a person? Because like now you have this medical aesthetics practice.
Gosh, not really. I just feel like I'm more stressed out every day. But that's about it.
Yeah, no, I get that, and, like, with that and I always ask people who work with their, partners or have you, like, so working with your wife, do you feel that it's something that has helped you guys grow as individuals together? Like, how do you feel that kinda co-business ownership works out in, building a
Yeah.
marriage and building a business, you're building
Yeah.
life?
Yeah. Yeah. We got a 2-year-old and 3-year-old too. So that
Oh.
adds to it. But it's a great question because before we started this, that was one of the concerns she had and I had was, what's it going to be like doing this together? And what we found is as we've gotten into it, we've really enjoyed being around each other and doing it.
Yeah.
There are challenges, like for instance, because I am the boss, but I'm the boss, but at the same time, I'm not a physician and I don't have experience like a provider would have. But there's times I have to have a conversation with Aurora and like maybe talk about the experience or something with the treatment. And she's the one with the experience, right? So it's sometimes it's hard for me to give constructive criticism, and sometimes it's hard for her to take it because we are so close to each other. Like that's the hardest thing is when we have to sit down and like give each other constructive criticism. Like I mean that's already difficult for a boss, but then to do it for the person you love is even more difficult.
No, I get it. I mean, even like, I do work with my partner, my husband as well. And it's just like, I love what Layla Harmozy says about it. She's like, you're always like together in public, but then you correct in private. And that's how you get better. And as all of us could see it in that way, is like, we're making each other better. It's like it actually can strengthen everything overall because it's like when the business wins, like your life wins, your everything wins, right? Because it's like it
Yeah,
kind of
no doubt.
supports everything else.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, no, I love that. And so with you, do you feel you're building a brand, a movement? Like what's the long game for you?
Long game, definitely build a brand. I think I chose the Flycatcher name and all of that because I believe I can turn it into $100 million brand. So that's the vision. And that's what I believe in. But that starts with location number one. That's all I'm focused on right now. I still have the vision. Long game is multiple locations, 4 or 5 in Austin, Central Texas,
Mhm,
and then prove that concept in this market.
mhm,
And then either private equity or private investors, maybe franchise
mhm.
model, and then take it into other markets. I'm always amazed how many people actually and this is clients, they come in and they ask, "Oh, is this franchise? How many of these do you have?" Or they act like they're interested in investing. I don't even say anything to them, but they're, "Oh, hey, are you looking for investors?"
Yeah. I think that's so cool though, because it's like, because and for those of you that are listening, it's like no matter if you're a man or a woman, you always have to have the $100 million mission in your mind. And maybe your goal is not to make 100 million. Maybe your goal is to make 5 million and then get out. Whatever. Everyone has different goals. And I believe that we should just focus on what we want, not what anyone else wants, kind of keep blinders on. But when you have that vision, it helps to guide everything that you're doing, even from the very, very beginning. So, Chris, I really love that you had that big vision, what you guys are going to do, because that's what's going to rally people around you, rally these 80% business owner guys around you for like the next phase of what you guys are going to do. And I think that's really exciting. And, my last question for you, and it's just like, if someone shadowed you for a week, what do you think would surprise them the most?
How boring their week would be. uh, geez, if they shadowed me for a week,
Yeah.
I think they would see that like the life of a business owner and in the aesthetic space isn't all that glamorous. I think sometimes you watch all these Instagram videos, all this stuff posted on social, all the videos that you create look, you know, look very glamorous. There's women in these beautiful dresses and gowns, you know, injecting people. It's not, the day to day's not that glamorous, at least not for me. And maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. But it's just not, they,
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think everyone operates in different ways, right? There are some people who they really everyone gets flustered, everyone gets frazzled as a business owner. It's just par for the course. There's nothing we can do about it. That's just like part of life. I do think some people they are able to bring a certain elegance into their work when they're doing it. If you were to watch them, like, above you, yeah, everyone's crazy, like, injecting, looking like this or whatever they're doing, but it's just like, there are some people actually who do dress up all the time, who do and that is really who they are, whereas there are some people, and we don't tend to work with these people, or we try not to as much as we can, they're cosplaying. That's not who they really are. So
oh yeah, right.
if you're a luxury girl, you're a luxury girl. If you're trying to pretend to be a luxury girl, we don't like to ship things that are not real, right? And I think so I think in this industry, and you could always tell, I think. But so in this industry, definitely a lot of that. But yeah, like you said, coming down to it, when you're running a business, the day to day is actually pretty damn boring.
Yeah. Finances, you know,
Exactly.
managing
Finances,
people.
all that, and it's pretty damn boring.
Yeah.
So, whatever, but it is what it is, but the vision is what keeps it exciting, I think. So, do you have
Yeah.
the final words for, our med spa owners? Because many of our listeners are, like, newer med spa owners, so do you have any final words about what you would say to someone who is thinking about opening a practice, or is in the beginning stages?
Oh man, there's so many things I would have done differently, in hindsight. I would say definitely understand your finances and what you're working with or what you're starting with. Make sure you have enough money, whether it's through a loan or it's on your own, wherever you're getting the money from, to to do what you want to do at a really high level,
Mhm.
right? So you can start out in a really strong position. Don't open your spa until you have the money to really build what you want to build starting out,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. Make sure you've got a plan to come up with the money for all the operating expenses that are going to occur like once you open the doors, because you're not going to have the customers coming in right away, probably.
Mhm.
So make sure you've got the money for that, like a runway.
Mhm.
And I know this is very boring because I'm talking about money.
I think it's great.
Uh, yeah, have a marketing plan.
Mhm.
Understand what are the things you need to do to market and promote your company to get customers in the door, especially if you don't already have a customer list or database that you're taking with you, right? A lot of places open, someone leaves one practice and they open their own, and maybe they have 300 customers to bring with them. That's great. We didn't have any of that. Like we started at zero. So make sure you understand how you're going to market yourself. And then the big thing, how are you going to differentiate yourself? How are you going to position your med spa in a different way than the 6 med spas that are within a 3-mile radius of you?
Mhm.
Because better isn't good enough. Like we have the best injector, but that's subjective. It's not about better. It's about how do you differentiate yourself as a med spa.
Yeah. Those are all great tips. So, guys, this is Flycatcher Men. This is the CEO of Flycatcher Men. So they're in Texas. So, basically, I'm going to leave everything about Chris and his med spa inside the show notes. Feel free to look them up, follow them on social. And so, Chris, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Leslie. Thanks for having me.
Until next time.
Want more clarity like this? Join the Branded Practice newsletter community. I write about strategy, systems, and brand leadership straight to your inbox. Go to diamondhandsmedia.com to sign up. And if this episode hit, share it with someone still building without a brand. This is the Diamond Hands Podcast. Thanks for listening. Now go lead.